afternoon, everyone. This is a little bit different today, a little bit different format. We're starting out with a little bit of painting, which is something that has been kind of near and dear to my heart. Started it kind of just for fun. Well, in high school, I was an art major, which means I just took art for 3 straight years. And then probably about 12 years ago, I got back more into it. And I think some of you who have known me on Facebook or around here know that I have turned to doing more with fluid art. And it's kind of one of those things that I've often have said that the majority of my paintings I feel God did, especially when it's the good ones, because fluid art is something that I have some control of it, but not a ton. Now, after it dries, I can do different things with it, but as I'm making it, when it's still wet and very fluid, I only have some control. And over the years, I have learned how to embrace having some control over things. It's kind of like in life. So a lot of times we only have some control. We only have control of what we can do, not what the other person can do or the other thing can do. And in the background, didn't know what to do with all my paintings. And I have a friend who's been really diligently learning painting, and she hung up hers in her spare room. So I kind of did the same just to make room in my closet, like for my clothes and things. So anyway, yeah, that's what's behind me. But few people have seen kind of how I do my art, but wanting to kind of share a little bit of this with you and see how the creation part goes and see how it goes online. And and if you're into fluid art, I highly suggest it. It's very sensory experience. It's very visual, tactile. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, like I said, it shows you how to not be in total control of stuff. So I mix my paint with Floetrol and water. And first, when I first started, I always did everything in plastic cups and made them in all individual plastic cups and pour it. And more often than not, I had to throw out the overuse. Finally started seeing some people online using different bottles and special bottles, and I've just collected a variety of bottles. I always like 2 uses out of my plastic stuff. The restaurants that have gone to the plastic cups, those are great. But anyway, I'm going to do a background, and then I'm going to do kind of using my blow dryer and a chain pull to make some flowers. And that's something I may add to a little bit later on. But anyway, first of all, this is starting with the white paint. I'm pretty sure that having the most of this filled up will give me what I want. So I'm going to mix it white and bronze. And the cool thing is, for the most part, unless you like overdo it, the 2 different colors of paints will stay separate. Unless you just keep like going over and over and over them. A little more of that. And actually, just because I like the silver for our paint, ready-made stuff, yeah, the white I mixed on my own with water and Floetrol, and I'm hoping I didn't get it too thin. Guess we'll see. But this is where it starts getting kind of fun. Because again, you just sometimes never know what you're going to get. But I'm hoping for kind of a marbly look here. And I'm really hoping that's enough. I know I mixed plenty of white before this. right, and in case you're wondering, that stuff that's like flowing down on the bottom, I am going to have another use for that here after we get this part all done. All right, yeah, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, and I have a whole bunch of things covered in plastic to hopefully make sure I can save my bedspread, because yeah, I'm in my spare room. Let me get rid of some of this paint on my fingers. Okay, that was more of the bronze than I thought I'd have. It just occurred to me, I think I forgot to put the silver in, but I will be using the silver for the next part. So after you pour it all out there, I'm gonna use my blow dryer. So yeah, I have all your basic home stuff. Alrighty. Okay, now this is where it starts getting fun. This is where I start making the posies. This is where it's like I need the paint just thick enough that it will do something and not just totally go of its own accord, but thin enough that it still will kind of flow. So start down here. A little more right there. Okay. This should be my pink here. That's my green, but let's see here. Let's go ahead. Our orange was my other color. Okay, I'll add a little more of that. And I have then my orange. Okay. Yeah, and as you can guess, I make sound effects. Sound effects as a therapist, sound effects as a mom, sound effects when I walk my dog and get scared. That's my kind of add entertainment to people's days. Okay. Now then, back to my hairdryer and creating. A little more right here. Alrighty. Now, actually, the funny part about this whole thing is quite a few years ago, some friends wanted to be part of my whole learning experience. And I after they all did theirs, they asked me to do one, and you know, kind of what I would do. And this is kind of a redo of what I did. And a lot of what I do is kind of like winging it every once in a while. So this is kind of one of those things that you'll see a lot of like early on fluid art do these chain pulls, and they're super cool to watch. So I'm really hoping I can get this. Okay. A lot of them that I watch on YouTube will have a separate chain for each one of these, but I tend to go with one. Don't want too much on there. And yeah, it drips everywhere. Okay. And one more little one. Okay. Ah, okay. Yeah, you can see every nervous tick I may have. Alrighty. Now we had some lights. And usually at this point I'm going back and forth and back and forth. Okay, now let's see about here. Let's see if I can. Now I'm going to use a whole nother one. I've got some more chain, and I thought I had scissors in here with me. Yep. Maybe. There. Got it. Okay, now And now for my green. So, what I'm going to do here, dump it in there. And after this, I may decide, especially if I'm trying to do this expeditiously while people are watching. I have multiple there. It's a little better. So I get a lot of pure green, but hey, you know, not too many leaves are pure green. All right, I'm kind of digging it, I think. Yeah, we're getting kind of a lot of paint in here, aren't we? But hey, it's all part of the adventure, right? All right. Okay, so when this is dry, I'll probably do a little bit more with those leaves. Actually, let me see. And that's why I wear t-shirts and I do not mind getting messy. And hopefully I'll have a day where, yeah. But hey, here we are. Now, I told you when all that paint was dripping off that there's more I can do with this paint. And actually, I'm going to show you one more thing you can even do on this. So let me go get something. One of my new hobbies is also painting rocks. So sometimes what I do to paint rocks is I actually dip them in paintings or paint drippings I've already done. So you get like this. And here. sometimes whatever is down below can also be used. But then we get just a little bit of fun shape of stuff underneath it. And I will do something else, do a little bit more with this. Go play a little bit more. Alrighty. But anyway, kind of why I wanted to do that is sometimes life happens, life gets unpredictable. And you put it out there and you really try for something, and then it's like, wow, that looked nothing like what I wanted it to do. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not so much better. Sometimes that's okay. But also, whatever you do, good, bad, and different, it rubs off. It rubs off on other people and other things. You leave your fingerprints kind of everywhere. I saw a saying at the hospital one time that said they may never remember your name, they may never remember you, but they remember how you made them feel. Sometimes I nail it, sometimes I really don't. And that always kind of breaks my heart. Sometimes I nail it and I can do the same thing from one room to another at work or even with family members or friends. I'll do the exact same thing. One person sees it one way, another person sees it a totally different way. And sometimes, again, it's just not in your control. So anyway, I mean, pray. I pray probably not as much as I should, that the right words will come out of my mouth, that God will bless a treatment, that he will bless an interaction, he'll bless a phone call I've made to a friend, that he'll bless an apology that I've made to a friend or family member. But I think I forget that prayer probably more than I should. And sometimes you can do everything right, where the person is, what they've had a history with, they're not gonna get it, and it'll not be accepted and embraced in the way that you intended. But you know what? You're not responsible for that. You're only responsible for your intent, for your thing. And also, God put his fingerprints on us, and so we've already got that print there, whether we want to acknowledge it or we can totally ignore it. God has bigger plans for us when we do acknowledge it. And then is that something, because when God gives, he doesn't give it just for us to keep, but then can we kind of pass that on in some way? As a person that comes by us, go, wow, yeah, I've seen the good days, I've seen the bad days, but that person has something I want. And there's always enough to pass on. So anyway, everybody, hopefully in a few days I may do this, have this all done, and I can show you in a future video. But I sure appreciate it. I'm trying to decide if this is all I wanted it to do. Kind of crazy. I think I'm going to play with it. Actually, while you're still with me, I am going to play with it one more time just to see if I can't make what happens when you put a lot of paint on. Sometimes you got to just work with scooping some of it off. So let's see. And scooping some of this off makes my posies look a little cooler and a little more defined. I've had times where I've worked and worked on one only to go, yep, I am just going to forget this ever existed. Once it's dry, I'll probably paint right over it. And then all of a sudden I'll think of something and I'm like, oh, wow. And actually, when I first started doing this, the combined technique and showing my friends that, I was holding a towel or some kind of fabric up over it and dropped it while I was talking and thinking. And when I picked it up, it just made the coolest design on the bottom. And actually, I did sell that one to a friend. I was super excited about it. I almost went, no, I want to keep it, but they liked it. And hey, if I can share something like that, I will share something like that. So actually, what I want to do to finish up, and then I'll say goodbye. So I'm going to take this and just do some dabbing here. And we get one last more little bit with the green. Yeah. This is where I am really glad I have my bedspread all covered up. Because it gets messy. Whoops, wrong way. And who knows, maybe if y'all think this is pretty cool, I may do this again, and hopefully the background will be closer to what I wanted. And actually, what's funny is sometimes it dries different than what you think. And sometimes it dries exactly like you think, and you're like, oh, I was hoping for a surprise. But don't give up. Because there are very few things written in stone that we can't still make something out of. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. You have a good rest of the day.